So, I'm still reeling from what happened, and I honestly just need to get this off my chest and hear what you all think. My son, my incredible pilot son, called me, his voice a mix of confusion and pure disbelief, saying, "Impossible. She's on my flight, not at home." He was talking about my wife, his mother. Can you even imagine that gut punch? One minute I thought she was safe at home, and the next, my son is telling me she's on his plane, halfway across the country. Was I wrong to feel a sudden, icy dread seize my heart? Tell me, what would you have thought in that moment? Let me start from the beginning, because honestly, I'm still piecing together how things went so sideways. My wife, Sarah, and I have been married for 30 years. We raised two amazing kids, Mark and Emily. Mark, bless his heart, followed his dream and became a commercial airline pilot. He's the kind of son every parent dreams of, driven, kind, and always calling to check in. Emily is a fantastic architect, equally successful and a wonderful daughter. We've had a good life, Sarah and I. Not without its ups and downs, of course, but who does? We'd settled into a comfortable routine. I retired a few years ago from my job as a high school history teacher, and Sarah, who worked part-time as a librarian, was talking about cutting back her hours even more. We had plans, a trip to Italy, finally renovating the guest bathroom, just enjoying our golden years together. Our relationship, I thought, was solid. We had our quiet evenings, our inside jokes, the kind of comfortable intimacy that only decades of shared history can bring. There wasn't a single red flag, no hint of discord or distance that I could point to. Or so I believed. Then came the day that shattered everything. It was a Tuesday. I remember specifically because I was planning to go to the hardware store for some paint samples. The bathroom renovation was still on my mind. Sarah had told me she was going to spend the day at her sister's house, Martha's, which was about an hour's drive away. Martha had been going through a rough patch, a minor surgery, and Sarah often went to help her out, bringing over meals or just keeping her company. It was completely normal, part of her caring nature. I waved her off that morning, gave her a kiss, told her to drive safe. She smiled, told me she'd be back by dinner, and off she went in her car. I spent the morning pottering around the house, watching some documentaries, and then headed out to the hardware store. Life was just normal. Mundane, even. I bought the paint samples, grabbed a coffee, and came home. The afternoon passed uneventfully. I was starting to think about what to make for dinner when my phone rang. It was Mark. I answered, expecting his usual cheerful greeting. Instead, his voice was tight, a strange tremor in it. "Dad," he said, "I need to ask you something. Don't freak out, just answer me honestly." My heart immediately started to pound. As a parent, you learn to recognize that tone. "What is it, son? Is everything okay?" I asked, my voice suddenly thick with worry. "Dad, is Mom home? Or, where is she right now?" he asked, a bizarre edge to his voice. I chuckled, trying to lighten the mood. "No, she's at Aunt Martha's, helping her out. She'll be back later." "Why?" There was a pause on the other end, a long, pregnant silence that felt deafening. Then, Mark exhaled, a sound of pure disbelief. "Dad," he said again, slower this time, each word heavy with meaning, "that's impossible. She's on my flight." My breath caught in my throat. "What? What are you talking about, Mark? That's ridiculous. She's at Martha's." I was laughing, a nervous, disbelieving sound. It had to be a mistake, some kind of weird prank. "No, Dad. She's definitely on my flight. Flight 723 to Phoenix. I just saw her board. I watched her walk down the aisle. She's in seat 14C. She just looked right at me, Dad." The blood drained from my face. Flight 723 to Phoenix. My son, the pilot. My wife, who was supposedly an hour away at her sister's. It was like a scene from a bad movie. "Mark, are you sure?" "Are you absolutely sure it's her?" I stammered, my mind racing, trying to find any logical explanation. Maybe it was someone who looked exactly like her? A doppelganger? It was a desperate thought, but I clung to it. "Dad, it's Mom. I would know my own mother anywhere. And she knew it was me." She looked stunned, almost guilty, when she saw me. She immediately ducked her head, pretended to be looking for something in her bag. "I saw her. I'm flying this plane, Dad. I'm literally the co-pilot on this flight." The words hung in the air, a cold, hard fact that chipped away at my reality.
My wife. On a flight to Phoenix.
Not at her sister's.
My mind spiraled.
Phoenix? Why Phoenix? We had no family there, no friends, no reason for her to be going to Phoenix.
And why the lie? Why tell me she was at Martha's if she was flying halfway across the country?
1,000 dark possibilities flashed through my mind, each one more painful than the last. Did she see you?
I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Yes, Dad. She saw me.
And she looked like she'd seen a ghost. He paused, then added, Dad, I'm about to take off.
I can't talk much longer. I had to tell you.
I don't know what's going on, but it's not good.
He was right. It wasn't good. It was terrifying. Okay, Mark.
Just be careful, son.
And call me as soon as you land. Please. He promised he would.
The call ended, and I was left standing in my living room, the quiet house suddenly feeling like a vast, empty space.
My world had just tilted on its axis. I tried to call Sarah. Her phone went straight to voicemail. I tried Martha.
Her phone rang several times before she answered, her voice a little groggy, as if she'd just woken up.
Hey, Frank. Everything okay? She asked. I swallowed hard.
Martha, is Sarah there with you?
A beat of silence.
Sarah?
No, she hasn't been here today.
I'm actually still a bit wiped out from the surgery, so I haven't had any visitors.
Why? My heart sank further.
The lie was confirmed.
Sarah wasn't with Martha.
She was on a plane to Phoenix. I mumbled some excuse to Martha, something about misremembering, and hung up. I sat down, my legs feeling like jelly. The paint samples lay forgotten on the coffee table. My mind was a whirlwind of confusion, betrayal, and a sickening fear.
Who was she going to meet in Phoenix? What was so important that she had to lie to me, to her own son? Was she leaving me? Was it another man? The thought was a dagger to my heart.
We hadn't been demonstrably passionate for years, but ours was a deep, quiet love built on decades of shared life. I had never once doubted her loyalty, her commitment to our marriage. This was completely out of character. The next few hours were agony. I paced the house, staring at my phone, willing it to ring. I kept replaying Mark's words, his stunned voice. She's on my flight. It sounded so surreal, like something out of a bad movie. How could this be happening to me? To us? I considered calling Emily, but I didn't want to worry her unnecessarily until I had more information. This was a private hell, and I was trapped in it alone. I tried to think logically. What was in Phoenix? Business? A sudden emergency that required secrecy? But if it was an emergency, why not tell me? Why the elaborate lie about Martha's? The lack of explanation was what truly hurt, the implication that I wasn't worthy of the truth. It was a complete violation of trust. I felt like a fool, oblivious to whatever secret life my wife had been leading. Around 6 hours later, Mark called again. His voice was calmer now, but still laced with a profound sadness. Dad, I landed. I saw her deplane. She was met by a man. The words hit me like a physical blow. A man. Just as I feared. What did he look like, Mark? I asked, my voice barely steady. Older, maybe late 50s, early 60s. Gray hair, well-dressed. They hugged, Dad. A long hug. And then they got into a black SUV and drove off. My vision blurred. A long hug. A black SUV. It was all so clear now, so painfully obvious. My wife, my Sarah, had been having an affair. The comfortable routine, the quiet evenings, the shared jokes. It was all a lie, a carefully constructed facade to hide the secret life. The betrayal felt like a gaping wound. 30 years. 30 years of my life, our life, and she was just leaving. Or worse, had been living a double life for who knows how long. My mind immediately went back over the past few months, searching for clues, for anything I might have missed. Had she been more distant? Had her phone been guarded? Had she been dressing differently? I tried to think, but everything was a blur of pain and anger. Nothing stood out, no glaring signs. She was always so good at being Sarah, my wife. Mark was clearly devastated too. Dad, I'm so sorry. I don't know what to say. I could hear the pain in his voice, the shock that his mother could do something like this. It's not your fault, son. I managed to say, my throat tight. You just did what you had to do.
He told me he was flying back out that night, a turnaround flight. He wouldn't be home for another day.
I told him to focus on his job, and that we'd talk more when he was back. I hung up the phone and just sat there, staring at the wall. My life, as I knew it, was over. The plans for Italy, the bathroom renovation, they all seemed so hollow, so utterly meaningless now. I felt a profound sense of loss, not just for my marriage, but for the future I thought we had.
The trust was shattered beyond repair. How could I ever look at her the same way again? How could I ever believe anything she said?
So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Here I was, utterly blindsided, my son confirming my wife's deception on his very own flight. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes.
What's your immediate reaction? What would be your first move? Would you confront her immediately? Would you wait? How do you even begin to process something like this?
I knew I couldn't confront her while she was still in Phoenix. I needed to gather my thoughts, to steel myself for the inevitable conversation. I needed to figure out what I wanted to say, what I wanted to know. I spent the rest of that day and the entire next day in a fog. I didn't eat much, didn't sleep well. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, then the image of her hugging that man. The pain was relentless. I considered calling Emily, but I still hesitated. This felt like a burden too heavy to place on her, not yet. I kept thinking about all the little things, the everyday moments, trying to find a crack in the facade. There was nothing. Sarah was always herself, always present, or so I thought. This made the betrayal even deeper, because it felt like a complete erasure of our shared history. Was it all a lie? Every smile, every touch, every word. Finally, late the next evening, I heard her car pull into the driveway. My heart hammered in my chest. This was it. The moment of truth. I had decided against being accusatory from the start. I wanted to hear her explanation, however flimsy it might be. I wanted to see if she would confess, if she would show any remorse. She walked in, carrying a small carry-on bag, and immediately launched into her usual greeting.
"Frank, I'm home."
"So sorry I'm late. Martha needed me longer than expected." She smiled, a tired but affectionate smile, and leaned in to kiss me. I turned my head slightly, letting her kiss my cheek instead of my lips. Her brow furrowed slightly, a flicker of something, perhaps confusion, crossing her face. "Everything all right?" she asked, her voice tinged with concern. I looked at her, truly looked at her. Her eyes, usually so warm, now seemed to hold a hint of something guarded, something I hadn't noticed before. "No, Sarah," I said, my voice low and steady, trying to keep the tremor out of it. "Everything is not all right." Her smile faltered completely. She put her bag down slowly. "What's wrong, Frank?" she asked, her voice a little sharper now, a defensive edge creeping in. "Where were you really, Sarah?" I asked, cutting straight to the chase. Her eyes darted away for a second, then back to mine. "I told you, Frank. I was at Martha's. She needed me." The lie, so easily spoken. It infuriated me. "No, you weren't," I said, my voice rising a fraction. "You were on a flight. To Phoenix." Her face went white. All color drained from it. She looked like she'd been struck. What are you talking about?" she stammered, her voice thin. "Don't play dumb with me, Sarah," I said, the anger finally breaking through the pain. "Our son, Mark, was the co-pilot on your flight. He saw you. He watched you board. He watched you get off. And he saw the man who met you." The words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of her deceit. She collapsed onto the nearest chair, her hand flying to her mouth. Tears welled in her eyes, but I couldn't bring myself to feel sympathy. "Not yet. Frank, please, let me explain," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "There's nothing to explain, Sarah," I said, my voice cold. "You lied to me. You lied to our son. You went to Phoenix with another man. What explanation could possibly make that okay?" She started to cry openly now, tears streaming down her face. "It's not what you think, Frank. It's not an affair." I scoffed. "Then what is it, Sarah?" "Because it looks an awful lot like one to me. An hour away at Martha's, then caught red-handed on a flight with another man. What other conclusion am I supposed to draw?" She took a shaky breath, trying to compose herself. "His name is David." His He's my brother. I stared at her, utterly bewildered. Your brother?
Sarah, you don't have a brother. You're an only child.
She shook her head, tears still falling. Not my full brother, Frank.
My half-brother. From my father's first marriage. I only just found out about him a few months ago.
He lives in Phoenix.
My mind raced, trying to process this.
A half-brother? After 30 years of marriage, she was just now telling me about a sibling? Why didn't you tell me, Sarah? Why the secrecy? Why lie about Martha's? I demanded, the anger still simmering beneath the surface.
I was scared, Frank, she sobbed. My father was a very private man about his past. He never spoke about his first wife or any children he might have had. My mother always told me I was an only child.
When I found out about David through an old family friend, it was a huge shock.
I didn't know how to tell you.
I was worried you'd be angry, that you'd think I was keeping secrets from you, that I had been dishonest for years. I needed to meet him first, to understand the situation. I wanted to see if he was even a good person before I brought him into our lives.
It was a lot to take in. A half-brother.
A secret kept from her for her entire life, and then from me for months. While the idea of an affair still churned in my stomach, this new revelation, however convoluted, offered a glimmer of a different possibility. So, you just kept this a secret for months? And then decided to fly across the country to meet him without telling me anything? And lied about where you were going? I pressed, the hurt still raw. I know it was wrong, Frank, she cried, wringing her hands.
I just panicked.
I thought if I told you the truth, you'd be upset that I'd kept something like this from you, even though I had only just found out myself. I didn't want to bring any drama into our lives until I knew more. I was going to tell you everything after I met him, after I had some answers. I wanted to prepare you.
She looked up at me, her eyes pleading. He's a good man, Frank. A wonderful man. We talked for hours.
It was like finding a missing piece of myself. But I never, ever intended to hurt you or deceive you. The lie was just a terrible mistake born out of fear. The story was wild, almost unbelievable, but her distress seemed genuine. Her father had been a quiet man, that much was true. It wasn't entirely outside the realm of possibility. I still felt a deep sense of betrayal over the lie, over the secrecy, but the crushing weight of an affair started to lift, replaced by a different kind of pain, the pain of being shut out, of having something so fundamental to her life kept from me.
And Mark? I asked, my voice still guarded. Did you not think about him?
How he would feel?
She winced. Oh, God, Mark. That was the worst part. Seeing him on the plane. My heart just dropped. I knew he would tell you. I knew the whole thing would blow up.
It was awful, Frank.
I hated lying.
I hated keeping this from you both.
I just didn't know how to do it right. We talked for hours that night.
She showed me photos of David, screenshots of their conversations, old family documents he had shared that corroborated his story.
It all seemed to check out.
The initial, gut-wrenching pain of an affair slowly receded, replaced by a complex mix of anger, relief, and profound sadness over the breach of trust. It wasn't an affair, but it was still a monumental lie, a secret that had thrown our 30-year marriage into a tailspin. We had a long, painful road ahead of us to rebuild the trust that had been so carelessly broken. It was a stark reminder that even in the most comfortable, long-standing relationships, communication and honesty are paramount. We decided to go to counseling, to try and work through this. It wouldn't be easy, but after hearing her full, albeit delayed, explanation, I knew I wanted to try. The love was still there, buried under layers of hurt and confusion. The aftermath has been difficult. Mark was, understandably, very upset when he heard the full story. He felt blindsided too, and hurt that his mother had put him in such an awkward position. It took a lot of apologies from Sarah, a lot of heartfelt conversations, and even some therapy sessions together, to begin mending that relationship. Emily, when we finally told her, was shocked but understanding. She focused on supporting both of us, urging us to talk openly and honestly. The whole incident made me realize how fragile even the strongest bonds can be when secrets are kept. We're still working on it, Sarah and I. Some days are better than others. The wound is still fresh, but it is slowly, painstakingly, healing. I'm learning to forgive, and she's learning that honesty, no matter how difficult, is always the best policy. It's a harsh lesson we both had to learn, and I hope we come out stronger on the other side.
So, that's my story.
A truly unbelievable situation that flipped my life upside down in a matter of hours. I'm still processing it all, and it's going to take a long time for things to feel normal again, if they ever do.
What do you all think?
Was her explanation enough? Would you have been able to forgive the lie, even if it wasn't an affair?
Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Like this video if you were on my side and felt my pain. Subscribe for more stories like this, because sometimes, truth is stranger than fiction.
Share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. I'll see you all in the next story.